Absolute! Most excellent! Greetings and salutations! It is I, Professor Macabro, here to regale you and to put my little 2 cents in 80 weeks, an 80's week challenge. Yes, I saw this through the wonderful people that I followed, that they were doing a 80's non-horror movie challenge. For 7 days, they had to talk about 7 movies from the 80's that are non-horror. And it started with Hobbs Horror and Jennifer Tochi. Then I saw Echo Zero get into the action. And most recently, the Ice Lord also shared his first video. And I was like, I need to get into that action, for I love the 80's. The 80's are, in my humble opinion, the greatest decade of all time. And anyone that doesn't agree, well, clearly didn't live in the 80's. We had it all back then. Great music, delicious food, amazing movies, groundbreaking movies, from practical effects, stories, all that good stuff. If I could build a time machine or get good at magic, I would go back to the 80's and just soak it all back in, because goodness gracious, what a glorious, glorious decade. Do you smell that? That's nostalgia right there. So, what movie will I talk about to start my first entry into the 80's week challenge? Well, I chose one that is so epic, so manly, that you can feel the manliness coursing through your veins. And that movie is Conan, the Barbarian. Movie that has an amazing theme song that goes dun 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 dun. Just makes me want to pick up a sword and be like, ha! But of course I don't do that, because doing that is frowned upon in today's society. Bunch of whips. But anyway, Conan the Barbarian stars the Olympian physique god himself, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yes, this movie stars him as a small child in a village that is visited by Thulsa Doom, portrayed by James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader himself, looking all sexy with his long, luscious hair. And he conquers the village, and Conan is put into the Wheel of Pain. Apparently, it's just this big old thing that's never explained what it does, and he has to push it. And push it he does for many, many years, until he becomes Arnold Schwarzenegger. Then he's sold into the gladiator arena, where they train him to be mortal. Not, mortal in the sense that he'll die, but mortal in the sense that he can wipe the ass of anyone there. I love the scene where he's standing there and they ask him, Conan, what is best in life? And Conan's like, to crush your enemies, to see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentations of the women. And I'm like, ha 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 ha. And he grows up and he's let go from his enslavement. And he becomes a thief. He encounters a thief that together they form a band of thieves. And then they encounter a beautiful blonde, and they have a nice trio relationship there. But Conan and the blonde chick, whose name escapes me, see that they are equals, and they fall in love. But unfortunately, they are captured by a king who says that, that Thulsa Doom, man, he's a real asshole. He stole my daughter, so I will give you riches if you bring her back. So they go on this quest to try to save the princess. And Conan, very stupidly, tries to go on himself, and non-convincingly puts on a costume and goes after Thulsa Doom, which unfortunately does not end well for him. But he is brought back through the brink of death by his girlfriend and his friends, who also during the road he meets up with Mako, a magician. And now that he's healed, he goes for another assault, and unfortunately They save the princess, but poor blonde chick is killed. So they leave one last-ditch effort to try to stop the forces of Thulsa Doom. And going any further will spoil the movie, and I don't want to spoil this movie. I want you to see this movie. But another epic scene that I would like to recreate for you is that when he's about to battle, sword in hand, and he looks up to the skies and says, "Crom, I have never prayed to you, but wing me battle, and if you don't, to hell with you!" Amazing. I love this movie. Such a good movie. And again, that's the music. The dun 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 dun. Really good workout music if I've ever heard one. There's a lot of cool workout music from the 80s, let me tell you. But just a great fantasy movie. This movie really plays to Arnold's strengths. He doesn't talk that much. Conan is not a man of many words. He has more of actions. And what little he says, has some weight to it because he doesn't talk that much. But his supporting characters are the ones that are really cool. So just a great movie. I love the effect of Thulsa Doom turning into the snake thing. It was such a good effect. And just good stuff. I can't say high enough praise for this amazing movie. So, Conan the Barbarian, released in 1982, is my first entry to the 80's Week Non-Horror Challenge. I'm butchering that name. I'll have to look it up. I wish I could have shown my Conan DVD, but this is kind of last minute for me, so I couldn't find it amongst the movies that I have. That's probably going to be something that you're going to see a lot in my entries. I won't have time to find the DVDs, sadly, but I will review them, and I will share my thoughts on them. So, Day Uno completed! Yes! Ha ha ha! So I'll see you next time for the next entry in the 80's Week Challenge, which again, the 80's are the greatest decade of all time! So stay tuned for next episode. But until I see you all again, I wish you all, like always, a good evening.